Hello friends, in this video I'm going to show you how to add background images to any section of your websites. This is the final result, and we're also going to look at how to manage the contrast between the text and the background using color overlays. So as you can see right now, it's quite easy to see the text, but if I go ahead and remove this from here, then it becomes more difficult. So I'm going to show you that as well. And I have prepared some starter files for this project. Basically, we're going to start from here, and then throughout the video, we'll add the background image and then the overlay. So please go ahead and download the starter files. I'll have a link in the description box. And let me just go ahead and clean this up so we're starting from the same place. And yeah, I think that's it. So basically, I'm going to show you two ways of doing this. The first one is using the CSS background property, and then the second method is going to be using a regular image tag like we have here. And which one you should choose is personal preference. Just try them both out and see which one you like best. Personally, I prefer the second one because it's easier to work with from a JavaScript perspective. But yeah, let's go ahead and get started with the first method. So on this page section, I'm going to add a new class called hero. And then we can go into our CSS and target this class. So hero. Oops. And adding the background image is super easy. We just say background image URL, and then you're going to pass in the path to your image. So for us, it's going to be bg.jpg. And now we can see our background image was added, but it's looking kind of messed up. So to fix this, we can use the background size property. So background size, and then we can set this to cover. And that's going to kind of resize our image to fit perfectly in this section here. Now, the only thing we have left to do is adding the background overlay. So we can do this using a linear gradient on the background image. So let's go ahead and say linear gradient, parentheses, comma, and then here you can pass in two RGBA values. So let's say RGBA. And then I'm going to go for a dark gray. Oops. And then we can copy this. Let me just close this so we can see the whole thing. So currently we can't see any difference. That's because the alpha channel is set to 0. But if we change this to, for example, 0.75, and 0.75, then we can see that we get this kind of dark backdrop, which makes it easier to see the text. Okay, so that's super simple. That's the first method. The second method is going to be with the image tag. So let's go ahead and try that out. I'm going to remove this class from here so we can start fresh. And then I'm going to say img, and then we set the source. Was it bg.jpg? Like so. And then we need to give it a class. I'll say background image, like that. And then we can go into our CSS and say background image. And to kind of see what we're working with, we can start by saying width 100%, and then also the height 100%. So there's our image, there's our text. The first thing we want to do is make the image kind of cover the whole section. So let's go ahead and use the absolute positioning for this. So we can say position absolute, and then to set the top, bottom, left, and right to 0, we can say inset 0. And we see a few problems. The first one is that our image is covering the whole site, not just the section. So to fix that, we actually need to add a relative position to the parent element. And if you remember, that's this one right here, the page section. So let's go ahead and use that class and say page section and then position relative. And then we can see that our background image is now only covering the parent. The next problem we have is the image is kind of skewed, and we can use something similar to this background size cover to fix this problem. But with the image, it's called object fit, and then we set it to cover again. And that's going to fix that problem for us. Now the next problem is that our text is not visible anymore. So this image is actually covering the text. And to fix that, we need to send it back. And we can do that using the setIndex property. So let's say setIndex and then -1 to push it back. So now we can see the text again, but we can't see our image anymore. And the reason why is because we need to go to the parent again and set the stacking context. So let's say isolation, isolate, and then save. And there we have our image back. So that's actually it for the image. Let's actually clean this up a little bit. Now we can go ahead and work on the overlay, the color overlay. So if we go back into our index file, then right underneath the image, we can add a new div, and we can give this a class of background overlay. And then let's head back into the CSS here, and we can copy the styles from the background image because this is going to be very similar. And just call it background overlay. The only thing we need to change is this object fit, because we're only dealing with a color here, not an image. We can say background color instead, and then give it a dark gray. I'll use this 111. And then to actually be able to see the image, we simply change the opacity of this. So let's say opacity, and then to use the same values we used up here, I can use 0.75. And if we save that, we can now see our image there in the background. So yeah, that's pretty much it for how you add background images to sections of your website. Obviously, you can reuse this anywhere you want. You can just copy these, and if you want to change the background for your next section, then just update the source, or if you're using this method, you would have to create a new class for it. So yeah, like I said, that's pretty much it. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.